button and starting it.
I mean, we missed that one. That was pretty good.
There's always more.
This is dead air. Stop it. Make it stop. Make it stop.
He's trying. Welcome to Everyone Racers,
a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of limit champ or lucky track dog league you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions, tips,
tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur and endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough, and Chrissy,
and I give you just the tip.
We're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less.
Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
What? We've been hacked. And I'm mental.
Really? Surprising. Holy shit balls, I think was what someone said when I arrived. Hello, we are Everyone Racers. Welcome to an AMC. Who wrote that? AMC. Welcome to an International Harvester episode. It's number 304, as everyone thinks that the only good American motor with a 304 cubic inch displacement is the AMC, but damn it, I'm an International Harvester guy, so that's what I'm going to talk about.
I was waiting for 345 for that one.
Oh, we could have done that too. Sure.
That's far away.
Yes.
I guess.
Anyway, the AMC 304 was all over the place in the 70s and the 80s. They put it in the Jeeps. The Jeeps with the 304, I think, were the good ones, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, except it didn't make any power, as we can see here.
Neither did the International Harvester one. So
yeah, by 1979, it was down to 125 horsepower from a 5-liter V8. Hell yeah. 125 horsepower, the D16 and the Civic. The original one.
With one of the injectors out.
Yeah, pretty much. Great.
Okay, is that it?
I'm quickly trying to Google how much the horsepower was in the International Harvester 304, and there's just
hey. You remember when, like after the pandemic, everyone who had been still driving to work started telling people that we're commuting again, look, we drive fast out. This is how we do things. We do things fast out, Jeff. Come on, keep up.
I'm here. Whatever.
All right. Hey,
whatever.
Well, now that we're established that, let's figure out what we're working on. Chrissy, what are you working on?
Sure.
We ask you still,
and we've all been doing the same thing together. So I had some heat, some golf carts, and talking to some strangers, and a lot of cars. And now I have to turn myself around and get ready for Thompson, because I kind of forgot about that there's a race coming. And so we have potluck. So in case you're coming to Thompson, don't forget about a potluck. I had forgotten to organize it, but it's not too late. But
doesn't everyone know that's a potluck? Every race
but
now, like it's not like it's this is a surprise. We don't know.
I need at least, I mean, Nick didn't know if it was happening, so I had to tell him. So it's okay. We're getting there. Switching gears. That's what we're doing. Mental. We saw you a couple days ago. What the heck's going on?
So I've got more RV drama. If you guys recall, my RV has now been in the repair shop from an insurance claim in December for 9 months. I had to go back and get pictures of the stolen catalytic converter, and then they insisted I get pictures of everything, which is stupid. And so when I go to have the RV brought up front so I could take pictures of it, they've locked the keys in it. So that was 45 minutes while they figured that one out. And then they finally get it there, and I noticed right there in the passenger seat, it's a jump box, because they've just been letting it sit there. So my 2-year-old battery's crap. So you're just on the odd chance that you find yourself dealing with Camping World of Las Vegas, don't, under any circumstances, ever. This is, I came as close as I could to yelling, because my current service advisor got handed this particular disaster, but I'm just annoyed with the entirety of the company because they just don't care. I know I'm not the most organized person in the world, but I've got a reminder on my phone. Once a week, I drive over to where the RV storage is. I start it up. I drive it around. I make sure rats aren't gnawing on stuff. God knows what kind of nightmarish problems I'm going to deal with once this thing gets out of there when I'm trying to sell it. So not happy.
At least your insurance is covering it, unlike when the roof fell off my father's.
No. See, that's the fun part, because the catalytic converter was stolen. I had to file a separate claim, which means I'm paying my deductible twice. So thank you, Camping World of Las Vegas. Yeah.
Now, the catalytic converter was stolen while it was at Camping World.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should have them check their garage keeper's liability policy, because it was in their care, custody, and control, and therefore their policy should cover it.
Yeah. And I mentioned that.
Check
I mentioned
it
that
off
to
the
them.
bingo card. Chris talks about insurance.
I mentioned that to them and to my insurance company, and neither one of them agreed with you. But I was firmly in your camp. I'm like, this is your problem. But
if it's not like it's your yard, it's their yard.
Right.
We pay for this kind of crap all the time.
Yeah.
Insurance man.
But what I did solve was the parking space bandit. Turns out one of the people that I do work with on a regular basis got a new truck, and we just hadn't seen him for a couple of months.
And you were bitching about this guy, and he's your friend.
Yes. And we had a great chuckle about it. And then I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a good thing we figured that out, because I've got friends who had some very sinister solutions involving flour in your air conditioning vents and some other things. And so he found a good chuckle out of that one.
I mean, you were about to rub your balls on his door handle. So it's good.
Wow. And you were so fired up.
I thought it was a visitor. I don't mind someone I know stealing a parking spot, but some rando, that's where I draw the line.
You were, you had nasty letters written in, like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Shoot.
Yes. And so I got up 3:00 Pittsburgh time, Monday morning, drove to the airport, and then, got a ride in the airport shuttle to the airport. That was an adventure, and flew home, jumped in my car, went and fought with RV World, went home, put on work clothes, went to work.
No.
And it's been like that this week, because we're as I mentioned, we're in the middle of the exercise, so not a lot of sleep on that one. So, but that was but I knew it. And what we're going to talk about in our main topic, totally worth it. Worth the lack of sleep. Had a great time. And Chris, you were a part of that. What are you working on?
Aside from watching old cars and standing in fields, I've been dealing with our porch. I have, after stripping all the siding off the inside wall that attaches to the house, and I have now then chopped that up so it fits in the trash can, and that's gone. And then doing some wiring to prep for the new lights and things that are going in. But actually, securing the wires with more than just a random roofing nail, like the person who did the last wiring job. Things like that.
No insulation.
Bend it over to the side when they.
No, that's why they use the roofing nail, because it has a big head, so it would kind of just hold it with the big head on the roofing. So I'm fixing sins of the past contractor still as I prepare, and we've kind of sort of picked out what we want for the siding paneling. I think we're going to go with a hardy board exterior architectural panel in a light gray for that. And I think we've picked out the door, which is frighteningly expensive, but it's a multi-panel folding door, so the whole thing folds up to make one big opening instead of only half of it. So it's
not only will that be,
but
not only will that be gorgeous, your cat will love that.
Everybody love it for the nights that are.
Yeah, there's like 2 months, maybe 3 months a year where it's nice enough that with no air conditioning on, no heat on, no nothing, and it'd be great for that to leave that open with the screened-in porch. So
we are actually going to do the same thing.
As you should
for those two sliding glass doors.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Your house is prime for that. Ours is kind of weird, but we like weird things.
I don't know. You get that gorgeous. You get the shaded tree. The breeze comes through there. It's beautiful. Absolutely.
Yep.
If it wasn't 97 degrees outside, I'd open that door and you'd be able to see outside. Right. But it's not.
The scope creep is real.
Oh, so much.
Anyway. All right.
Anyway.
What are you working on?
Speaking of scope creep.
Yeah, scope creep. What have I been working on? Well, it's been like 3-4 months. I've been away. I've been away and dealing with stuff, family stuff, and working pretty much 24/7. Just because people keep asking, no one is dead, no one is getting a divorce, no one is sick. I just got a lot of things going on and probably not racing for an entire year, and it really sucks to be on a racing podcast when you can't race. So had to step back a little. I am building a garage though. That's
What?
kind of
Yeah.
fun.
So many years in the making.
So many years in the making. Yeah, I think this is the second house where I've said, well, this house is fine, but I got to build a garage right there. So I am 13 days into the 10 days where the town said they would approve my zoning. Haven't heard from them yet.
You knew that would happen.
I knew that would happen. I am within 6 inches of my pool back and my property line setbacks to fit a 32 by 24 pole building with 6-inch concrete poured. Do I have all the money in place? No. Will I afford it? Sure. Am I going to take a healthy loan from my 403B? Yes, et cetera, and so forth. Anybody pours concrete cheap in South Jersey, give me a call. That's about it. That's what's going on.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah,
I
cool.
can't wait to see it. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Hell yeah.
My wife says
Hell
I might
yeah.
have to live in it, so that's all right.
So you get a loft and a beer fridge and a urinal.
Oh,
Is
it's gonna have a
there-
beer fridge.
Is there any how was the installation going to be?
Yeah, we'll see how the affordability goes.
Yeah.
The sprayed foam, closed cell foam is the most desirable, but the most expensive.
Mm.
It is the last thing to happen.
Yeah.
Are several home job ways that you can insulate it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the pocketbook says as time.
That's future
As long as
Jeff's
you put-
problem.
Some kind of coating on the floor before anything goes in, because don't fool yourself. Once a single thing goes on that floor,
Oh,
you're never ever gonna have it clean enough again.
no,
to do
there's
it.
I'll just do that later.
Yeah,
That's
the
what we said.
coating, the floor
Damn it.
coating thing is weird because you can't. I've been so in like Reddit's garage journals and garage buildings sections, and there is just so much. Well, don't do that. There is like, don't do that with every single kind of garage floor coating.
I know you've been away for a while, but all of us, the collective we, all 4 of us, we have a friend who's a ceramist.
Sure. That also is future Jeff's problem and gonna be completely.
I only ask about insulation, and so you could use it in
No.
other than right.
Insulation is key. The vapor barrier will be installed as it is built, and the least expensive, most labor intensive is like foam panels you install yourself.
Mhm.
Step up from that is like the rock wool, because that is a really good sound insulation.
It's a good.
little
It's
more
not fire.
expensive.
It's fire resistant too, which is nice.
Yeah.
Rockwell.
And
Let's
then,
not have fires in the first place, so there's that. But
then closed cell sprayed in foam, then open cell sprayed in foam open cell is slightly worse than closed. In that order, we'll see what we can afford and what we're going to do.
Cool. Looking
Get
forward
it.
to it. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I get to yell now?
yeah,
Is it notes time?
7 major auto manufacturers are combining forces to create a network of 30,000 new EV fast charging stations across North America. Joey Caparella from Car and Driver reports that the joint venture between BMW, General Motors, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and Stellantis is aiming to open the first chargers in the U.S. in the summer of 2024, with ones in Canada to follow. These chargers will be compatible with electric vehicles that use both the combined charging system and Tesla's proprietary North American charging standard connectors. Many automakers have already pledged to adapt the NCAS connectors in the near future, including Mercedes and GM. Other charging networks like Volkswagen's Electrify America subsidiary and ChargePoint have said they'd also adapt NACS in the near future. We don't know what the joint venture is going to be called or when the 30,000 chargers are going to be completed, but they do claim the stations will be in urban areas and along highways, and each station will have multiple connections. Some locations will be designated as flagship stations and will provide, quote, additional amenities. The automakers say that the charging network will integrate with the various manufacturers' apps and navigation functions, allowing for route planning, integrated payment functions, and even charging reservations.
That's interesting that they're talking about going to the NACS standard, because the European is forcing all of the electric cars to go standard, and they actually went with their CCS version. So they are forcing Tesla to use what he considers inferior.
Yeah. And I think everyone went Tesla here because Tesla had so many. Like they had the charging, they had the chargers, where the Electrify America ones are all broken because they don't care, because they only made those because Volkswagens had to, right? And then no one thought about, oh, we need to actually fix these. Oh, let's default them to on instead of off, etc.
Oh well. Anyway, a cargo ship. I don't know. Just to preview to everyone. I haven't pre-read anything or made any preps today, but a cargo ship carrying thousands of vehicles is currently ablaze just off the coast of the Netherlands. One crew member has died as a result of the accident, while several others have been injured trying to escape the flames. That's kind of sad. Coast Guard is struggling to put out the fire, which they believe originated from an electric vehicle on board. They'll always blame the electric car. Lucas Bell at Road and Track reports that according to Dutch officials, the Panamanian registered Fremantle Highway was en route from Germany to Egypt, carrying some 2,057 vehicles when the fire started in the North Sea, around 16 miles off the coast of Ameland. No idea where the hell that is. Okay. Is that a Dutch city?
Whoa.
Sounds like
Black Betty.
What?
Sounds like somebody made it up.
Totally. Of the 1,000 vehicles on board the ship, 25 of them are electric. Coast Guard believes it is likely the fire started with one of the EVs, because you all know that fires originating from electric vehicles are hard to extinguish, often reigniting no matter what the firefighters do. The crew initially tried to contain the fire themselves. Never a good thing. They were unable to limit its spread. Dutch firefighters on the scene have been unable to control the fire thus far. One of the crew members aboard the Fremantle Highway was killed in the accident, and a total of 23 people were rescued from the ship. Salvage companies are actively working alongside. Not even going to attempt to pronounce that Dutch name.
What is that, Chris?
Rieke Watersat. Oh yeah, but see, but it's funny because you can't read Dutch words, but you know what it means, right? It's water. It's water stat, so it's the emergency water
stat, right?
Yeah. The Dutch Infrastructure Department to try and limit the damage to the ship and the local environment more broadly. Tugboats are currently there. Tugboats are all over the joint. According to Automotive News, Mercedes-Benz had 350 of those vehicles on the Fremantle Highway, and it's unclear what the other vehicles aboard are. Link in the show notes to Road and Track.
Very sad. Okay. This is a little bit of old news, but during his weekend off, which was a couple weeks ago, Formula One world champion Max Verstappen decided to get behind the race wheel anyway in the iRacing Golden Toast Sim Racing Grand Prix. However, during the race, Verstappen was disqualified after ramming another driver in retaliation, knocking them both off the track. Nick DiMattia at The Drive tells us what happened. The 3-hour sim race Grand Prix was at Spa and coming out of the La Source corner. German driver Sven Ole Haas seemingly pushed Verstappen from behind, which forced him into the Team Redline teammate Daggio Pinto. This caused Verstappen and Pinto to spin, ruining their races. Verstappen wasn't going to let that fly, though, so as the Dutchman immediately sought retaliation. Prior to the hit, Verstappen was in third and ended up in ninth afterwards. A few corners later, Verstappen broke away from the pack and went down an escape route, which let him jump from ninth into third, right behind the second place Haas. Once behind Haas, Verstappen shunted him from behind, causing both drivers to spin into the tire wall. It seemed deliberate retaliatory attack, and Verstappen got disqualified from the race. When you watch the point of view clip from Verstappen's cockpit, it looked like he planned on his escape route attack almost immediately after Haas's initial hit. Verstappen expertly broke away from the pack, gunning it down to the escape route right behind Haas, as if he was coming as he has done a million times before. He was committed. He knew what he was doing, said the commentators of Verstappen's revenge move during the replay. The Drive has a video on what happened. So,
and this is all the Dutch news that's fit to print today on the Everyone Racers podcast.
Yep.
Tilting at windmills. Yep.
He's still a dick.
Still a dick. Oh, now you know who aren't dicks? RacingJunk.com. And we're going to be talking about the Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix and how awesome it was. And we've even got some comments from people who were there and people who have been there before. And by the end of it, you'll be thinking, maybe I want to go vintage racing and go ripping through like a tiny little narrow road through a beautiful park, which, by the way, you do. You don't want another MGB, C, or 914 or 2002. Racing Junk, as always, has exactly the thing for you. We have, for your consideration, a beautiful 1968 Lotus Elan C Sports Racer. Now, it was built in the 60s as an SCCA C Sports Racer. It's got logbooks back to 1972. Am I looking at the right? I think I'm looking at the right thing. Logbooks back to 1972. Mm-hmm. It is raced at the now defunct PBIR, the Palm Beach International Raceway. It is raced at Lakeland. It is an Elan chassis with a 1275cc BMC Mini Cooper S engine. Datsun 5-speed transmission, which all the good British cars do that because they're a lot more reliable and they have parts. It's got adjustable suspension. It's just really pretty paint job and this hand-formed aluminum bodywork, and it is only $20,000. Actually, it's like $1 less than $20,000. It's in Lakeland, Florida right now, and of course, you know the link's going to be in our show notes. And while you're there, why not just go ahead and spend that $20 and use code pod 23 and get that membership, that Pro Racing Junk membership, super cheap, because you get like ads and preview items and a whole bunch of other kind of cool stuff. And I have never been on Racing Junk and found myself in a worse mood. It's exactly the opposite of Facebook. I've never just found myself going, oh my God, Racing Junk. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah. Or I'm like, oh, I want that trailer. Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the price? $100,000. Holy crap.
That's
what I end
more
up saying.
like it. You're like,
well, I sadly clicked on while I was right after I looked at that, a 66 Lola T70 Mark II Spider. That's a mere $250,000. So
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought this was a little more in our listeners' price range.
Yeah, probably.
Seriously, for a hand belt, and because it's using that Mini Cooper engine and Dodge transmission, you could maintain this. If you're a Lemons racer, that's well within your mechanical ability, and that's just a really pretty car. Your butt's going to be like 3 inches off the ground. It's going to feel like you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and everyone's going to say that's really cool.
Yeah, this is definitely a good way to go.
Cool.
Okay. I'm going to races.
I was going to say, I'm leaving this one for you, Chrissy.
Okay.
There are not any upcoming races. It's too hot, like everywhere. Yeah, we didn't hear most of that because your Zoom cut it out.
Oh, did it clip out? I like
because you're
my
just
neighbors
too loud.
my neighbors can hear us. Damn it.
That's the problem. You go too loud. Zoom's like, well, there's obviously a problem.
Hey, how about that? Is that better?
It's funny because I can hear you downstairs through my noise canceling headphones. So that's good. Mental, how hot was it in Las Vegas today? Curious.
Oh, it actually wasn't bad today. It was 111.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. All right. Are we ready yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Our good buddy Jackie commented on Facebook about the Canadian Grand Prix on the tube, and she said, shots on you, which was the phrase of the weekend. That's why our credit cards need super coolers. we yes. Lots of shots on you. And yes.
Now, also on our YouTube, AJ was a little perturbed. Quote, "You're coming to Pittsburgh and told your mom not to send cookies with you? Unfollow." And I felt, man.
I know. I shouldn't have said this to you guys. Should have been sorry.
Yeah. Yins are a devious bunch. On our website, Seth commented, the solution to Metal's parking bandit is simple. Baby powder. Pour 1 container of baby powder into the AC intake duct at the space of the windshield. Problem solved. And I will add, as long as they don't have a cabin air filter, at which point you will just clog it. That's all.
My God.
Well, that's still going to cost them like $15.
Right.
And it's 111 degrees and he will not be getting any fresh air.
That's
some annoyance.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. I would just do it with like fart spray. That would be what I would do. Chris Mills and DC Doug chimed in to make a point to call Mental Captain Caveman and Dirty Hippie, respectively.
Ashley Doyle said the whole gang's there. Great. I was missing Jeff.
Yeah, I was too.
And no one had any sympathy for Jeff's forced sheets run on the way home, but he had an interesting encounter at the rest stop.
So those of you who are not following my TikTok, which why aren't you?
We all hate TikTok.
I was TikToking, yes.
I was
TikToking. So I used to be a grad assistant in 201 Wood Street in Point Park College in Pittsburgh, and I had a cross-state record that I was personally trying to beat, and I did a terrible job beating it going to Pittsburgh. So I was trying to beat it going home. So I really quickly, near Reading, Pennsylvania, stopped on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, jumped out of my car, urinated, went to the gas pumps, slammed the pump into the gas pump, made my TikTok while sitting in the driver's seat, jumped back out to undo the fuel. And a nice gentleman next to me with his wife and all of the accoutrements in an SUV that you would take to the shore says, "What's that sticker on your little blue car right there? Garage Heroes." Sorry, that's the one that was on that side. "Were you at the Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix? I heard about that on like the broadcast."
Because
And I
we
said,
had screwed something
we made
up.
one
and
joke.
We said, if you don't like this, we're the Garage Heroes in training.
Right. We made one joke about the Garage Heroes, and that's what he remembered.
Well, that guy was listening. Okay.
So I said, "Oh," and he said, "Oh, you're wearing the hat." And I said, "Yes, I was the commentator. I was in the booth. I was there the whole weekend. If you watched the races, that was me and my friend Mental and blah, 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 blah." And he said, "Oh, I'm one of the competitors." And I said, "Oh, really? Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Charles Dolan." And immediately, like, I was really wired and I had a lot of caffeine. And immediately I was like, "Why the fuck weren't you in your car at the end of the race and you let your brother race your car?" And I instantly started like harassing him because like he personally messed up the podcast the race commentary because we were calling his name when it was really his brother in the car. Mental, I don't know, if you want to catch up that story. But anyway,
well, it wasn't our only misstep on that one too.
No.
I got a message from, I didn't realize it at the time, but AJ Farragoni took the time to message me the correct way to pronounce his name because we're friends. You also may have known him because we were all instructing in extreme experience together, and he runs with Mike Carr.
He's also friends with Al Jones.
He's
AJ. I never knew his last name.
Exactly. He's a crap can racer. So
yeah.
And that was the drive of his life, chasing down that GT6 and that in the small bore BMW 2002. So, and I told him it was a great drive. We had a great conversation. So
that's the best race of the week.
You're thinking of the big bore chasing the Z.
You're right.
The small bore, which, how many of those races were just so fantastic, but
we're not there yet. It's not main topic time yet.
We're not even to main topic time.
Oh, wait, it's topic time.
But do you know who always pronounces everyone's name correctly and makes them feel very special every time she does it?
Sure.
Jeff,
do you know?
Chrissy's mom?
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry for no cookies. She's sorry for no cookies. Won't do that again. But
it wasn't her.
It wasn't her fault.
We are
right.
absolutely not going to hold her responsible.
You are correct.
We will blame you.
You should.
So
yeah,
that's fine.
It is, as Chrissy said, main topic time, and we are going to be talking about the Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix. So this is the Pittsburgh hangover because I think none of us slept, and we all drank maybe a half a pint of water the entire weekend. It was I was plumb wore out at the end of each day, but it was a great time. And we had a flurry of social media posts, and in one of them, Gregory S. said, quote, "I've raced with the Vintage Racing Group at the Glenn, Thompson, and NJMP. The Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix is on my to-do list." And I'm going to say, yes, it absolutely should be. It's what a great event.
What a great event.
That's what we're here to tell people about.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
How the hell did we end up showing up to do what we did here? That's
what people are asking.
We got to start like what
you guys,
you jokers, how'd you get that spot? Now, Mental, you were more.
I think it's mental
in that. So
yeah,
I think this is your story to tell.
Well, I think I was I wouldn't even say instrumental, just there when it first came up. As you guys know, we are media partners with Racing Junk. They don't give us a dime. We don't give them a dime, but we've had a couple of good relationships, and it's opened up a few doors for us. And one of them was Bernard Martin, the media director of the Pittsburgh Grand Prix, and our new friend said
best buddies.
Yeah, said they were looking to expand the media coverage of the Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix. They wanted to make it like a little bit more of a full up racing event, and asked their media partners, Racing Junk, if they knew anybody. And as it turns out, they did.
That's a terrible, that is just like coincidence of coincidences. Like, we need somebody who knows like something.
No, because we did it. We did an audition. We actually like watched last year's race and yammered about it and recorded all that and sent it in to him. And I would say that luck is what happens.
No, we've got somebody else. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that actually helped or just
preparations meets opportunity?
Sure. I just wonder if that was just like, well, they don't really suck. So yeah, it's probably okay.
Well, then Jeff started to go into some of their meetings they invited to, and Jeff speaks their language. So I think that helped our credibility, and that Jeff knew what he was saying.
Much.
Like if I go there, I go, I don't know. And it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
You were having like side jokes. Yeah.
So we should mention that, there's all like the Grand Prix people at these meetings who like talk about the cars and they talk about the shows. And then there's like the TV people who like are running the production. So I went to a couple of these meetings and immediately started like saying like, yeah, you should do that. And, if you're going to do a broadcast, we would need to have this. And if if we're going to be calling the races, we should be calling it like this. And here's a link of honestly, here's a link to some of the stuff that we did on YouTube for iRacing, and that really, they made friends. I made friends immediately with the director of the program. Just make sure I get there. Jordan McMillan, who is from Cut and Run Productions in Pittsburgh, PA. And he basically said, like, I want that guy in the studio. So I guess that helped.
They were fighting over you.
Oh, I'm sure it helped.
But it helped for all you all, because you got to spend a lot more time with the cars and I got to stare into the bright stage lights the whole time. But that's okay. I had a good time.
But in theory, that was better. You were better at that.
Yeah, sure.
None of us, I mean, really, like,
Yeah,
I mental.
Yeah. In theory, in practice, and all of it, he crushed it. Absolutely.
Right. And mental did a great job too. I would say, especially between the two of you. We'll get to Sunday, but I would have struggled with that. I would have not done well. People would have been. I
struggled.
I mean, sure, I would have struggled even more. I probably would have just cried and set them out. And then
let me just really briefly say two things about the broadcast, because many of the people probably did not watch it live, and they're going to go like, "Oh, where do we get it?
Can you go here?
You could go to YouTube."
Well, I
got it. I'm marking the time. Absolutely. It'll be right there where Chrissy's pointing.
So here are two things. A, don't watch Saturday. Actually, watch Saturday.
Why?
Just fast forward to the Chrissy and Chris and mental parts, because
the second half of Saturday,
they left
so much better.
They left me quite high and dry with not the right things in front of me to be able to like make it sound like I knew what I was talking about. They're like, "Oh, next you're going to throw it down to blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Well, who's that?" And they'd say, I don't know. Don't you know? Oh, crap. And I'm quickly Googling on who these people are. It was
so, and in their defense, they didn't know. So
sure.
it's the Cut and Run Productions, they are a top-notch production company, and it's pretty legit watching how those guys interact. It was reminding me of my aircrew days, the way the four of them had everything going in that studio. It was awesome.
Alan was the other guy who's really was on top of things in the studio.
Should we go back to Friday?
Sure. Let's
go
back to Friday. Let's do this.
We did say enough about how we got involved, right? We're good with that.
Yeah.
Friday.
Okay. Sure. Well, you guys, all of y'all got there Thursday. My
late.
Yeah.
I'm
out
cursed
Thursday
to have to work.
Yeah, we got an Airbnb.
Showed up and went to bed.
Yeah, it's a nice Airbnb at a decent location, really close across the street from the park. 3-bedroom place, nice enough. Place only had 3 forks and 3 towels though, so
they were serious about only 3 people. Chris and I had to share a towel. It was very sad.
I only used half. It's okay.
It was very nice. Yes, you really didn't want 4 people in this place, but anyway. So yeah, we got to sleep and got up on Friday and didn't really know what the plan was. We just knew that we had to be over and check it out and get to know where we were supposed to be. We kind of walked in expecting that there would be a check-in and somebody would be expecting us, but it was kind of a free-for-all.
Yeah. Bernie said in the morning. So we showed up at we had breakfast. We were there at like 9, I think.
Well, we went to the studios first.
Oh,
that's
you're right. That
Sorry,
was
yes.
9 to
We did
11.
the studio
Thank
tour.
you.
So we showed up
Yes.
at around 10:30 or 11, but I don't think he was
Correct.
expecting us till like noon.
Yeah,
Correct.
studio at 9. That was good. And yeah, which I was impressed with all the equipment and gear and stuff that Jordan had in that neat old theater that's been repurposed to about a
That
million
is
things
really cool.
according to what he's
Yeah.
telling us in the story. So finally we get there, we walk around a bit, we're seeing things. Eventually Bernie shows up, obviously in motion, which he never stopped. He has a lot going on, especially the day before the event. We grabbed some golf carts, eventually hopped in one with him, and proceeded to take a 3-hour tour of the grounds and everything at great speed and peril with a golf cart over all kinds of things.
Nobody died.
While he's talking, texting, doing
But we came
everything
close.
Chrissy tells us not to do behind the wheel of anything.
But I just kept holding on, and I was like, oh God. Yes, at some point. Well, and I also was when we were on the golf cart going up and down the track, and I'm taking video,
over the
and I'm hanging off the
curves and-
side, and then we're so not all safe all the time.
But as he's basically also just doing his general check of like, let's see what's not right. And many
there was a
things
lot not right.
were not right. But it
No.
was we had a great opportunity to see where everything was supposed to be and see the inside of everything and how the sausage is made all over the place. And it gave us a great base for later on. So much so that, as the day goes on and we eventually we went home and cleaned up, came back, and there was a very fancy dinner going on Friday night at the
we
country
did
club
Well,
next door.
I have landed and I have now gotten an Uber to the park. My Uber driver was
yes.
quite
Yeah,
proud of Pittsburgh, which I
They
find
all
a lot
are.
of people
apparently.
for a good reason. All right, there's cities that people are proud of, and you're like, why? You know what, Pittsburgh, you got my respect. It's a cool town, but yeah, it was but she also completely had no idea of what we were doing and how we were getting there. And this was our first instance of what would become a joke throughout the evening. So she brings me up on the backside of the country club. And she's like, oh, he's supposed to be at the clubhouse so he can meet his friends. They're like, oh yeah, you don't want to walk that. That's way too far. Get out and drive back around, which in this traffic takes 45 minutes of blocked off, what literally would have been not even
5-minute walk.
half a mile.
Yeah.
I really,
quarter
I
mile.
totally could have made this walk, but I love you.
And we
Pittsburgh, but
did.
you-
We made it multiple
Many
times, like over and over
Yeah.
again.
How many
It's a-
times? How many
It's a
times
golf
did we
course.
how many times did we get told you don't want to walk that? That's just too far to walk.
Yeah, so many.
A
Like
lot.
Pittsburgh hates
Oh.
walking.
And it's a golf course that doesn't usually have golf carts. So people pay to walk that distance every day.
Yeah, we made it. But in between there, before we cleaned up and after you got there, we did a quick show. Hopefully you saw that. You might want to go there on the stage because that was
Oh,
fun.
You killed
And
me. I
my
gotta
phone
write this
only
off.
fell a little bit and added like 10,000 feet of headroom, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Not that we didn't tell you that was going to happen, but you did it anyway. So that's okay. But it looked cool. Like we looked very professional. Yes. So that was fun. And then we went to dinner. And it was one of those dinners where you're not really sure if actual dinner is going to happen or is it just a buffet of
Horrors divorce.
kind of. Yes.
We missed in here. We did a track walk with the golf cart.
Yes.
So
Yes, we did.
packed on the golf cart and drove around the track a bit just to see what we had in store for us. And this
might
is
have-
quite the track.
Might have been doing some stunting and exploding.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. We definitely did not. We definitely did not race each other in any way, shape, or form while doing this. That was later on. But this track, it's in a park. It is a park. It is roads in the park. There are trees. There are ditches. There are fire hydrants. There's curbing. The road is crowned. In one section, the actual original wall fell down the hill because Pittsburgh, they have hills, and they just put some Jersey barriers up that made it one lane, like lane and a half wide. And you were racing on this surface. So it's very exciting from that. It's very twisty, turvy. There's stuff where you are down to, I mean, at least second, if not almost first gear at times. And there's stuff where you are flat out, I'm sure, getting some good speed until you have a hay bale chicane. So Interesting course. They did make,
Or
it's a good venue.
a single hay bale between you and the fire plug.
Yes, that too.
Well,
or the
Inches.
drain. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
absolutely.
protect the fire plug. That's really expensive if they have to replace those.
Yeah, that's why the hay bale is totally enough. Yeah, so that's the track. We drove that. We went home, cleaned up, went to this event put on by it was at a country club there, and it was put on by the Ferrari club, or was it was very Ferrari centric?
It was for the Ferrari.
For the Ferrari,
they were the featured
mark of the year
of this one. And we showed up looking like we look, we're wearing our Dickie shirts, we're in shorts and sneakers, and we're in there, and there's a lot of golf shirts, but there's also a lot of blazers. And halfway through us getting beers is when the opera started.
Yeah, the parking the Mercedes there, we had to get special disposition to park the Mercedes in the field, and it was, we're slumming it with the fairly new E-Class wagon. Yep.
Yes. Oh, well, I guess you could put this here. So
yep.
So I may have sketched out Doug Tabbitt. For those of you who don't know, Doug Tabbitt is the current cross-country record holder of the Cannonball Run. And if you don't remember, I'm slightly obsessed by that.
I do remember this. We're
so he showed up at the party, and I totally just went up to him and was like, "I love you, man. I watch your show."
Yeah, you fangirled out.
I did. This is a real problem. Sorry, Doug. You're not listening.
No, he's most certainly not listening.
No, he is a Lemons racer though, so.
But our friend Brittany might, the young lady reporter from the Pittsburgh.
Abby, I thought.
Abby. It was Abby.
Thank you,
from
Abby.
the Post Gazette.
Yes.
Yeah, we kind of took her under her wing because she didn't know anybody, and she was told like 20 minutes before the event to come over, and so she did. And so we hung out with her as well. That was good.
Mm-hmm. But we ate free hors d'oeuvres and paid bought overpriced drinks, and laughed at the Ferrari people's outfits, including wearing like a sport jacket and Ferrari branded Pilotis.
Let's go around the horn real quick. What was your favorite totally silly outfit? I got mine.
Start us off, Jeff.
I will say the 4, I don't know, crypto dudes, whatever they were, in their perfectly tailored blazers and their khakis, not a single sock under any loafer, and the tiniest little enamel Ferrari logo pins. Like they were like, I'm definitely better than all this trash here.
Are you talking about, because you said khakis, or are you talking about the guys in the tailored suits?
Yeah. Well, they were like black pants and like blue stripy.
Yeah, they were the ones that were right across the dance floor from us.
Yeah. Yes, they didn't match.
Those were PR. Those were PR people, 100%. In fact, saw them the next day wearing Ferrari branded stuff. Those are PR bros.
I saw one of them cleaning a McLaren. So who knows?
Yeah, that's them.
It makes it sound like we're making this up.
He had this terrible mustache. It was hard to miss.
I think Mental said it best. He says that guy has to have 2 jackets, one before the gym and one after the gym. Because
that's how tight it was. That's how tight it
was. Much too swole.
Yeah, a little swole, and that don't fit anymore. That was my favorite crew. I like them.
Oh.
What else? Anybody else like? Go ahead, Chrissy.
So mine is a person and the outfit. It is the voluptuous, is that the right word? Black woman with the very, very old dude in a very tight, very loud dress.
She was gorgeous. She spends a lot of time at the gym. She reminded me of the woman from Ted Lasso, because she was like 6 foot and was wearing
with heels on.
Yeah. Statuesque.
I mean, sure, but she stood out like a sore thumb in that.
Well,
not a sore thumb.
80-year-old guy that brought her. That was the
yes. That was she was
lovely. It was just that her dress didn't match the guy or the venue, is what I'm gonna say.
And
I mean, neither. You're absolutely right.
Her date, I don't know. He was like a foot shorter than her before the heels.
Uncle.
I
think they go by Uncle.
30.
Yeah, there you go.
Uncle.
Yeah, Uncle. Yeah.
What else? Anybody else have a favorite?
aside from the guy with the suit but the Pilotti Ferraris, I liked the elderly gentleman with the 250 GT that, Jeff, you were right there. I watched it from a distance. He was wiping his car off with his hat.
With his bucket hat. Yeah.
Right.
We did watch him when we were in the field.
He spit on the fender and then
Spit on the
proceeded
fender.
to wipe off
Yep.
his 250 GT
Mhm.
with his hat a
Mhm.
couple times.
Which
Like,
I
yeah,
kinda
whatever.
I kind of respect. He's doing it himself.
Yep.
Yeah. Gosh,
You don't have one?
I don't. I was just laughing about
Oh.
the entirety of the whole thing. It was
We did
rather-
see there were a handful, I would say 5 people that weren't in what did Abby call it? It was like garden party attire, I think is what they were calling
good way
it
to
to
put it, yeah.
be. I'm pretty sure that's what Bernie told Abby to show up, and she
Oh, it
was
wasn't
like,
Bernie. It was some random woman Bernie handed the phone
Oh,
to. and
right,
said,
right,
Tell
right,
her
right,
what
right.
the attire is.
So
Yeah.
there
casual garden party.
that
and-
was what it was right there. Thank you. And so she was like, and she's like, what, 22? What, 20?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Very,
Recent
young.
recent college graduate.
Apparently
Yeah.
young. And so I saw about 4 people that did not have casual garden party. One of them, including one of them that had the sriracha shirt, sriracha.
That was Doug Tabbitt and his crew.
Yeah, those were our people.
That's why I recognize them, because I was like, look, also at this party, they had beautiful artwork. We weren't sure if the artwork was going to get auctioned off. So all y'all walking around saying, oh, I like that one. I wonder how much that one's going to go for. And then all of a sudden the lady put them away. So this party had like this
They didn't
expectation.
sell them. I thought they were going to sell them.
Right.
Right.
So this
Actually-
expectation of like a grandiose dinner with all these appetizers, and then we figured out, I was like, is there going to be steak sit down or something? And then they put all the food away and they take all the artwork away. We're like,
And it
what
was
is even
like
happening?
Pittsburgh food. So it was like pierogies and
Kielbasa.
Chicken,
Kielbasa.
chicken
Was it a
slider,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we had the
a
chicken fries.
salad, and some.
And that was
yeah,
like chicken breast. Wasn't even the process.
That's good,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. I'm just saying, like, it was just an odd. It was a confusing party, is what it was. Plus the opera, like it's all like a
was-
story.
it
Like,
was a
how do you even make
confusing
this
party,
up?
yeah.
Okay, that was
Well,
Friday.
fortunately, though, before the party was over, Bernie said, "Hey, this is Karis. We're your producer this weekend, and here's Owen. Can you guys take them on a tour just so they can see everything?"
That's
We're like,
right,
"Hell
right.
yeah!" So we went and got some golf carts and did a nice little
Loaded
tour. And
up.
Mental and I definitely did not race our golf carts everywhere we went, and definitely did not do
There was
anything
there was
terrible.
zero stunting and sploding going on for the next hour, which was awesome.
I mean, these golf carts we were governed, and they would go about 9. But it was you can't put 2 race drivers in 2-wheeled vehicles that are similar and not expect that to happen.
Sorry. Yeah, that was it. And even if I had tried, the other 2 on the screen would have been like, why are you sneaking away? So that was fun.
Yep.
And that was our Friday. And then I was exhausted because by the time we got back to the the Airbnb, I think I was running it on about 20 hours, and I'd only
Yeah.
had about 3 hours of sleep anyway.
Yeah, we
But
just watched a little bit of
Quali-
practice and then crashed. That was it.
yes,
Practice.
that
Yeah.
was no, so yes, it was practice. But my gracious co-host ensured that when we arrived, there was outstanding liquor and great food. It was a great Airbnb, and yeah, when we crashed, because we knew we had a long early day starting the next day, it was still a good time. I think we posted some pictures of that, and it was we got a lot of responsive thumbs up and welcome back and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
right,
Saturday,
all right.
we got
Mayhem.
up early, and we had some
Saturday.
different experiences among all of us.
So
without a
Jeff,
doubt.
talk about your Saturday.
So my Saturday was straight to the studio. So I had to basically my job was there was lots of things happening on the field. Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't go to the studio. I went to the field for a couple of hours and then went right to the studio. We went live at 11 o'clock. So I had to leave at 10:30, or I had to be there at 11, whatever. Don't worry, time doesn't matter. And I got there and it was basically we're going to turn on the camera on you and you have to fill 1 minute, 60 seconds every 7 to 10 minutes. and throw it to whatever is happening. Sometimes it's going to go to the stage for a live interview. Sometimes it's going to go to a recorded piece. Sometimes it's going to go to this. And I had no information about what any of those things were other than the title. And I was expected to know what Panther Racing was or whatever. So,
and not to mention a lot of the times that your transition data that they had over at the Cut and Run Studios was wrong.
Because they didn't have it correct either. Not their fault. So
they were given garbage.
Yeah, God bless my time in Pittsburgh, because I invited a friend, Lumpy is his name, who is also a TV professional. I was like, hey, I'm going to be stuck in the studio alone all weekday. Come on over. He lives literally 3 blocks away, and he was like my Google like savior. And he was able to like run out to the other studio and say, that's not the right piece, or you need to fix that. Or, you know, he did it in a supportive way, but it was like, you're spelling his name wrong, fix that. You know, like just all the different things, like he can't hear that. So there was a lot of like technical things that were wrong and information that was wrong. So don't listen to the first 2-3 hours of Saturday. It was rough. And we put the eyebrows back up again. My frustration led to, as we discovered, a very funny thing. I'm trying to do it now with my eyebrows and I can't do it. It was like, it was like
you're not frustrated enough.
Dress thing where I would like, yeah, there it is right there. I don't know how I do that.
But you did it for like hours.
3 hours straight. Yeah.
Right.
It was so difficult.
It got better by the end.
It did because Jordan
you got in front of it.
Cut and Run. Once when I would ask for things, I would get it. And they were like, yeah, you're right. You should get that. You should be able to hear what you're like each thing in the headphones, because how do I react to that interview if I didn't hear the
That was a great interview, actually, though it was terrible.
Yeah,
but
yes. My wife watched a few minutes, and she watched more than that, but she was definitely supportive. Her one comment about the entire broadcast mental was she's gonna have a drinking game where she takes a sip of beer every time one of us says beautiful Shenley Park, and she's gonna be totally shit-faced by like
she may actually die.
I die.
Yeah, that was like my verbal crutch.
And I think
Shenley Park, Pittsburgh.
She has to take a sip of beer every time we say beautiful Shenley Park, and then she has to do a shot of whiskey every time we say the weather was great.
She actually mentioned that too, but I wasn't going to dog you out. She's like, why do you keep talking about the weather? People who aren't there don't care about the weather. I said, well, we actually do, but never mind.
But so not in the studio, we got broken into 2 teams. So Chris got handed
I was the B team.
The B team.
You were the B team. We were the A team.
It was me and a producer, a cameraman, and a second camera
lady. She was a camera lady.
Camera person. Yes, Cindy.
And Chrissy, you and I, we got Anthony, the camera guy, who was brilliant.
Awesome.
And I can't remember the sound guy, but I felt bad for him because he was Matt. Yeah, he was wearing all black and it was still rather warm. And our camera guy was great. Chris was having to coach his. So if you see Chris's interviews, you see his hands move. He's trying to get the guy to move, because our guy would start with a great shot of whoever was talking, and then whatever they were talking about, the camera would come down and then do this great
the panning was awesome, and it was it was seamless, and he would pick it like they just figured out what we needed to do. But I watched Chris and Kara and their group, and they had a whole lot of, what should we do? Let's go over here. No, let's just, how should we do this? And ours just was pretty.
They were
and we should mention, you're recording all of those in the morning, and then in the afternoon they're edited, and I'm throwing to them in the afternoon during the broadcast, and it would be like interview B,
right?
And I'd be like, hey guys, what's interview B? They're like, it's a red car.
because
awesome,
because they're TV people, they're not car people. And yeah, that was we still got some great stuff in there. And I'm gonna sell you out, Chrissy. My favorite was you talking to the car club, like the two local car clubs, not the
Me
the-
too.
not the Mark specific
The
ones, but
Steel
like
Cities and
yeah,
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
Dramatic Impressions. I don't remember the other one was.
something like that.
twisted
Twisted
impressions.
impressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we really like them. They were great. They're our kind of people. It was very easy to talk to them because it was not truthfully just old guys that run car clubs, because that's the other group of people that I talk to. The
That's
sad
who I
thing
have.
was is that's who you got. Well, yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, still had Audi, BMW, Mercedes. All of those were just old dudes that run car
Yep.
clubs. So they
And-
were,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm
That's-
brokenhearted because I got to talk to Dan Panos, who is currently running the Panos. We had connected.
You did a good
Friday
job of
night.
hiding your boner while doing it. So that's good.
Well, apparently not, because they won't release that one. I guess the sound.
No,
But,
the sound was busted on that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
the stand, because we started talking Friday night and I was geeked and he remembered me and it was so much fun. And his
We should have, that was
assistant
the first one.
Yes,
We should have
and-
started somewhere else.
we should have come back. But
Mhm.
oh man, if you guys are wondering what happened at Panos, they haven't gone anywhere and they are in really good hands. That is a great
The
company.
cars they brought were gorgeous. Oh,
Yes. And
I-
he is so
can-
geeked about everything that's going on there. And he said he's all about it. I think they might actually start, like one of his assistants will vet this, but he swore he'll come on this show, and darn if we're not going to try.
Can I take a moment and just do like an overview of one of my many things that I said about beautiful Shenley Park, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Please.
If you don't know what the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix is, and we've been talking about it, it's 3,500 cars on the show field. Bernie corrected me. I was saying 3,000. 20 different car clubs, all on this beautiful, 18-hole golf course.
You can't say beautiful. I'm going to run out of booze.
Sorry. And around it is where the race is happening. So on the Saturday, there was it's just not a classic car race. There were, local clubs, cars and coffee groups, every mark you'd expect, the Chevy section, the Corvette section, the German Hill, everything. So that's why when Chris says, well, he was stuck in British car land, they were celebrating the 100 years of MG. There was, Chris, 500 British cars.
Yeah,
At
it
least
it was a huge field of every possible brand
Yeah.
of British car you could think of, including some I didn't even know existed.
The Panther.
That's what I was thinking. Yes, one of 18. Yes.
Find that interview. Yeah, and ideally after they've milked all that on there, we're going to try and get some of the stuff and put it on our social media, or at least link to it, because it's actually a great interview.
And
We found
Mental,
some-
they said they are going to put the stuff they recorded that they didn't get up on the YouTube. So your Dan Panos interview might get up.
We did we went to the Pittsburgh Cars and Coffee, and it's Lambos and Carreras and Ferraris and everything that you would look at and be like, oh great, here's the, they're all going to put on their affliction shirts and they're going to be giant douchbags. They were so nice.
The
Everyone
Pittsburgh
over the
term for
Pittsburgh-
that is jag off, by the way.
But they were none of them were that.
Wow.
They were open and warm and, hey, come check out this car and do this. And they were so Pittsburgh because they're so involved in the community and they give money to charities and all of this goes to charity. So I was completely taken aback by that. That was just such a great time. So Chris, as you mentioned, you spend a lot of time with old guys who have dimly lit sheds and beers.
Mhm,
Beards.
yeah, old
Warm
men in
beers.
beards who
Oh,
like
I was going to say warm beer.
beers.
There you go.
Yes. Well, I interviewed first time we found a random dude with a Jag who was it was a Mark II Jag, and he was driving it all over the place with his like 4 brothers who all have British cars, and they were doing this fun thing. So we that was not planned. We got that guy. That was great. Then it was the guy with the I had 2 guys with Austin Healey 100Ms, including one that had a completely custom aluminum bodywork set, which was
So
pretty cool.
pretty.
So pretty.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Uh,
Their
those
cars
are-
were better than their interviews, by the way. That's all right. Not
Yeah,
your fault.
No, nice enough guys,
Not
but their
your
cars were super cool.
Yeah, their cars were
Uh,
super cool.
I had an interview with a younger guy who had this Panther Solo. You've never heard of it either. It's
Nope.
a 1990 thing made in a shed in Britain it's all custom body and chassis. It's all like tube frame with this fiberglass body over it with Escort Cosworth running gear mounted in the back, and it's not even straight. Like the engine is at an angle because again, it was built in a shed, and it's 4-wheel drive. And the guy didn't seem like he was super excited about how it drove, but he's always wanted one, so we imported it from England, and now he's got it. So we had that.
There'll be a link to that in the notes. Go down there and look at the Panther Solo. It's hilarious.
It is. Then we talked to the president of the local MG club, who was his name was Bud. He's exactly what you think that would be like.
Oh, goodness.
Yep. I talked to a guy about Land Rovers there. He actually has a Land Rover podcast, so he spoke well about Land Rovers. There was a big field.
Oh, I saw that one.
Nice,
that was
right?
good.
I don't think we played that one.
No, but that was a good one actually, though.
It was a really good one.
Let's hope that one makes the YouTube.
Yeah. And then we did a bunch of B-roll where I was basically saying to the camera people, okay, this is a car you need to get things about. Like we did that at Volkswagen. There's some cool old buses, and there was a Puma, which is a Brazilian convertible, right?
I saw that one, the orange one. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So we got B-roll of that, and there was a Mark 1 GTI that was like perfect. We got that. Did some same thing up at Lotus. There was a nice thing where there was a blue Evora next to a chartreuse Exige next to a red Elise. So I was like, we'll get those. And then we went to the other end of the line, was a 50s Super 7. Well, not a Super 7, just a 7 at that point. So this is like the ultimate original, like slimmed down light ethos.
Colin Chapman's blood is still there, right?
Totally. Right next to an original Lotus Cortina, which was cool. Then over to Aston Martin, which they had an early 90s Vantage 600, which has two root superchargers stuck on that thing. So like looked at stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. I mean, there's TVRs and MGs and you name it, all kinds of stuff. So we're getting all kinds of B-roll as I'm walking around saying, all right, that car and then that one and then that one, try, because they don't know what's interesting. So we're finding the good ones for them. Yeah. And then Chrissy got us into the VIP tent for lunch, which was fantastic.
I did some negotiation.
Yep.
And then we were double and triple fisting free drinks. And then the next day they were like, not no, but hell no. Yeah. So we were like, burn that bridge.
Which is a shame because we were tipping very well.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. We got, yes. But you were up
I got my lunch at the Cortia, which was the Italian, because they were celebrating Ferrari. Yeah, and they had that, so I was there, and that was my other great interview. Is I got to interview and talk with Louis Cinetti Jr., who was part of the North American racing team, which until this year was the last Ferrari to win Le Mans, and they battled the factory Ferraris and whooped up on them quite often. He was so humble and so pleasant. And we saw like 4 other interviews with him that weekend. He just kept saying the thing about how everyone in Pittsburgh is smiling, which is 100% true. What a wonderful, warm human being. That was just so great talking with him. And he was low key and just delightful about that one. And we got to talk about several famous Ferraris, including one that was for sale from a high-end exotic car dealer in Antwerp, Belgium. So much fun.
I'm glad to hear about all your lunches. I paid for my own Mexican next to the
You
TV
did
studio.
not.
Of course I did.
He did.
It was good.
All right.
I ate it standing up in 2-minute segments between.
Well, yeah, because
Let's go to Chris
somebody's
while he talks to somebody's
microphone. So somebody's microphone died, and they had to cut back to you in the studio. And
at one point, I definitely like tossed my lunch and ran and sat down.
So that was Saturday, and we're making it sound like this was a shit show. It was not. It was diverse people that are very good in their specific area, but they don't know. We didn't have any standards of communication. And by the end of the day, I'd say we shacked it, because that leads us into Sunday. But Saturday night, we were invited to go out with beers with a couple of different people. And I think across the board, we were dead dog tired.
We are also so
dirty and exhausted and
like just so a couple clouds on Saturday, but not many. And so we were bouncing between.
We were like watching. When's that cloud coming? When's that cloud going to block the sun?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I was tired from doing this
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so so okay with us making fun of your eyebrows. You didn't notice, but so on Saturday night when we got back, we watched most or all of the live show, and we just were kind of live stream, not live then, watching it, and then we realized the trend of Jeff's eyebrows instead. Wow!
Thanks to Lumpy for getting his booze. You guys
Yeah.
had tequila for me, and
yeah.
Lumpy showed up with something cold, which was also great. So I was alternating between those, and
we just Grubhubbed some burritos and stuff, and then we watched quality to finish up the night. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, crashed.
That burrito and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're in
talking about
Pittsburgh,
food, I haven't had
burritos
dinner
and
yet.
stuff.
Oh,
It's like 9/11 here. It's fine.
So
Okay.
So anyway,
everyone's
Sunday?
fallen into a rhythm. Not all of us, but like not just us, but the show is falling into a rhythm. The studio is falling into a rhythm. Bernie trusts us now.
Yeah, the morning he followed us around, so he was on the A team, Myth Mental and I, and basically every time we would get someplace, he'd be like, "Okay, shoot it from this way." Even though we talked about what we would do and where we should focus, we got it. He said, "Go do this," and then finally we started figuring it out when he would walk away, and we were like, "We got it, already done, cool." And he was like, "Oh, you guys can do this." Okay. And then we didn't see him anymore. So it was fine. We figured it out in the afternoon. We did our own thing. So
he did say to me, he's like, "Oh my God, I can feel the tension leaving me because I'm watching you guys."
We saw it.
And I know
he was turned up to 12. And
then
then all of a sudden, we're just like, "No, we can do this. It's okay."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll go over there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are we talking Sunday? Yeah.
Sunday.
So,
So
it was race day.
we posted a clip of Jeff and I in the studio, and Brad Brownell was like, "Who put these jokers in jars?"
Not wrong. Sunday, there was according to my wife, there was a distinct lack of Twinkies in the office.
Oh no.
But I actually had to correct her. The reason that Mental was talking so much, when we would go to the race, I would run outside and talk to the booth. Like I would have to go out.
He was talking to nobody.
Yeah, he was alone in the studio for like some big long stretches calling the race because we didn't have the right competitors list. We didn't have the right order of races. We didn't have the right titles of the run groups. So at the first race, they were like, "Well, throw it down to this." And we were like, "But that's not this race." So the first couple of races, we had interviews in the can with people who were competing in the race. And we were supposed to cut to commercial at one point and cut to the interviews, interview, then a little bit more calling, then the commercial, then a little bit of calling, then the next interview, then finish the race. Because they didn't have the race schedule correct, they were throwing the wrong interviews. So once we started the race, I would jump out and then have to lean over the shoulder and be like, that video package right there where it says, TD, 53 TD, that's the one you play because that's in this race. So there was a lot of me jumping out to fix things. So Mental may have sounded like he was taking over the mic. Really, I was ditching him. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And Chris and Chrissy were running around, and they were in place to do interviews that they're like, "All right, we're going to cut to you in 3, 2. Oh no, never mind. We're not cutting to you at all."
That's exactly
and then
what
it would be like, "No, we're totally cutting to you." And you guys, yeah, okay.
No, we were ready when you cut to us, but we were.
It wasn't totally clear. We didn't have any producers. It was just the cameraman with a mic. And so eventually he'd be like, okay. And we're like, "Really? You sure?"
And then we would,
okay.
And we had plenty of times when they never would say, "Okay, finished." Like on Saturday, they would confirm, "Yes, we're cut." Okay, good. And then there were plenty of times where there was no confirmation. So Chris we would just stand there like,
"Are we done?" I'm
Back to you.
Smiling. Yep. Tossing it off to you, Jeff.
and
yeah.
we never got the finger. We never got the point.
Yeah.
And so we would just say "Okay, well, we really hope this is a really weird thing. If they have not cut off of this is just weird." So
yeah, it's like the end of every one of those 70s quality, comedy cop shows where they just kind of freeze frame.
That's pretty much it.
That's what we did.
Yeah. I mean, even when we had the producer on the stage and a stage manager, we went to a lot of, "Okay, We'll send it down to the field. Are we ready yet? When are they going to throw it to us? Testing. And
Right?
and Venzel and I are in the studio going, so I guess Ted isn't ready yet. And they're like, no, we're just going to keep it on him. And I was like, okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So
Sure. So
but you
we
guys
should
had
mention-
a couple of good interviews and you guys had a couple of good commentaries, but you guys know who my favorite interview was. So
of course.
we
Go ahead. Why don't you guys tell us how that happened?
Set that up a little bit. And it was hilarious.
hold on, just 1 second. Let me set up what was happening on the field, right? So we were
Thank
watching all the racing, which was great. We were sitting in the sun. There were no clouds on Saturday, so it was hella hot. Fortunately, we did scam a golf cart. We were not supposed to get one. We had to fight hard for it. But I was like, we have to be all over next to the track. We need a golf cart. So anyway, we got a golf cart.
Like prison
Gold.
cigarettes, if not
Gold.
more valuable.
Prison
Actually, here.
cigarettes. That's a good one.
Like there's definitely someone's gonna shank a bitch for a golf cart around this place.
First year,
Luckily,
we had
the
to
guy
sweet.
that controls them liked us.
Well, we had to sweet talk him, yes, basically. But we did get something. We're like, well, we can negotiate a smaller one, and then he's like, fine, I can get you a smaller one. We're like, good, let's do it. So anyway, so what was interesting was that Ted, the voice of voice of racing, or whatever you were calling him,
40 years, this guy has been the voice of the Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix.
He was the only voice. Well, you could hear you guys at some point, but he was the one who was calling the race in the field.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
literally didn't know what you guys were doing because I was like, well, I hear Ted talking. We never heard you doing any kind of race
we did
commentary.
a couple times. We heard them talking in the
Early.
field,
It was
but
early.
yeah.
It was before the racing. And so anyway, that's what we heard. So Ted was on the loudspeakers in our racing, and that's what we could hear from some
That's
of the
interesting,
park.
because there's
not
no
all of
way
it.
He could see. We had all 6 cameras, or
Well,
no,
and-
nine.
We also
cameras
weren't
or-
close enough to the main speakers to hear that a lot, Chrissy. So it could have been
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, Ted is the field, whatever we call it, the show announcer. So he's not only saying, and coming up next, we have the 50 years of MG race, but he's also saying, like, don't forget to stop at the, the popcorn hut and get yourself a basket of car and
Get your programs here.
yeah, get your program. So he
Can't
was
tell a
also
Beamer
doing
from a
all
Z
of
without your
that.
programs.
And even and he knows all of the racers. So he did all of on Saturday when you guys were talking to people on the show field, he was putting in the can the 2 interviews with the racers. So if you do watch the broadcast and you wonder why we're throwing it down to this old guy, that old guy used to be the only person who talked on any of the microphones.
Tell him about the microphones.
He used to have 2 microphones. He had I'm going to use my hot sauce and my COVID. Thank you, Andy, and your arsenal of clean. He would have 2 microphones. And if it was something that was supposed to go on the broadcast and to the field, he would do this. And then if it was just the broadcast, he'd do this. And if it was just to get your popcorn, he'd do this. And that's what Jordan and the guys from Cut and Run were like, that doesn't work. That's the way they did it last year. Last year was the first year they did a live stream. And that's why, thank God, Jordan and the guys at Cut and Run said, we need an actual broadcast team. Just find 4 idiots on a podcast. They'll be great, I guess is what he said, because that's what happened.
Right. The racing was awesome.
What great races.
We didn't get a chance to talk because Jeff and I were in the studio and you guys were trying to beat the traffic out of there. Did you get a chance to watch any of the racing?
Oh yeah, we watched most
you
of
guys.
it.
Yeah, you guys had some great insight commentary trackside between the events that we would cut to on the broadcast.
We were originally told to find people to interview between every segment. Okay, fine. So first one race, we found there was a couple sitting by the wall. Or the fence. They were clearly set up for the day. We're like, all right, those look like normal, nice people. And their commitment means they're here for a while and they're interested. So we talked to them. They're very nice. So that was fine. We were about to go to a second one, do a commentary, and oh no, Bernie's doing that one. All right, we'll go wait for the next race. And then we did a commentary about the racing, the crown of the road and what it's like to race on this, just from a race.
That was actually a really good segment. I like that.
Yeah, that wasn't what we were told to do, but we said we're going to try this and see how it works.
Well, we just thought we have racing insight, and it's better to talk about what we are, what the driver would be experiencing, not just these cool cars. Let's watch these cool cars go around, but it's like it's real racing, and what do they have to deal with driving on these roads? Yeah.
The suggestion I'm going to make next year is we do a segment of track walk. And that's what gets intercut between the races, because look at the crown of the road, or look at what they're doing here, look what they're doing there, or watch what this part is. Let me explain why turn 7 is difficult. That's what I think we should have.
And there's so much of the track you can't see from anywhere, right? Like all of the places that we were going down in the golf cart, like all of those S turns, and like there's no sidewalk there. There's nowhere for you to stand. So we could really give a good insight as to where else do you not see the cars? They like you're sitting at a corner and you can't move anywhere. You just sit there and you're like, the cars go, and they go away because you can't see them. And then you're like, maybe you're watching a video, maybe you're listening to commentary, and then you don't see what happens in the silence in between when the car comes back.
So yeah, so you guys got to see the racing, and it was fun, and it was awesome. And it was like, we kept making the joke in the booth about this is supposed to be 7/10 racing. It was not 7/10 racing.
Oh,
and
no way.
even the back markers were throwing down, and it was just fantastic to watch. And my favorite part was at the end of it, they would come into the podium, no animosity, no aggression. They would hug each other. They would laugh. You would see them doing the racing with their hands as they would recount the event. Such camaraderie between competitors. Loved it.
And while we were out there, we stumbled across some fool who decided to go with an interview with us.
No, we kind of begged him.
We did. We totally begged him. I said, I know this is going to be good. Let's see if we get Al to do this. And Al,
I didn't realize he has a broadcasting degree or radio. He has time in radio. So he was like, oh, I do radio. He's like, this will be easy. And I'm like,
sign up for next year.
Right?
Yeah,
he could be our on-site.
Al, you might get recruited.
Yeah. So he was like, no problem. So Al and Chris were talking about what they were going to ask each other, and kind of got off the rails. There was inside jokes, and like it was
when you
very
said
easy.
It's great to hear from a real racer, like I almost spit up my water. I'm like back in the studio going, this is a pretty good interview.
He's talking about CVTs and how bad they are, and
there was so much inside baseball in the interview. But if you don't know, it wasn't bad. It was just
it looked like it was perfectly camouflaged where it looked like a normal interview. So yeah, go back and watch that one because it's pretty darn funny. Yeah, that was a great one on there. And
then we went to elevation change, which was also my idea of just having discussions about why I think elevation changes are good. And we were trying to give wrap ups and a little bit of insight about what was still happening at the race and the car show. But I wanted to focus on elevation changes because there was a lot of them. So yes, that's all. What else we talked about.
And it played a role, especially as they were trying to catch up on
850 cc cars, man. They were chugging up them hills.
Yeah. They were doing the best they could, but then there's so much going on that track. It is not easy, and if you mess up, there's consequences. But fortunately, it really didn't happen. We had no significant issues, which was great.
No.
And we should mention that a good portion of the field was 7/10 racing, and a chunk was 5/10 racing, and some of them were absolutely sending it. So there was kind of a spectrum.
A lot of the first and second places some of them were swapping. Like it was usually first, second, and third, except for that huge race. The third or fourth one, I think it was.
The big bore.
The big one. Yeah, right.
The
30 cars. That was all over the place. But most of them had 15, 12 cars. So yes, they definitely had a send it with the first top 2-3, and then the middle ones would kind of be there, and then they had the one that were just like, are you broken or are you just puttering? Because
Yeah, or you're just a 1935
I mean,
850cc
sure.
big wheeled, whatever.
Terrifying machine that you might not, if you roll over, you're going to die.
And as we know about human nature, if there's only one person fast, it's not a race. That's a Formula One race. If there are two that want to win, all bets are off because they're going to throw it as hard as they can.
Well, and clearly a lot of them have known each other for years, and we've all seen this, when you roll up on someone you know and you trust, that's the best racing, because you can get a lot closer to someone isn't going to, they're not going to take it personal, and they know how to control their car. That's when it gets the best. I
think AJ said in his post-race interview, he was the guy that we mentioned earlier that we know from Racing in Lemons, that he has been there 4 times trying to win and had a 4-year plan and a progression of trying to win and trying to win and trying to win. So, if you think that guy was going to hold up back at 7/10, you're wrong. Yeah.
Ferragoni.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Anything about Sunday before we move on?
Yeah. Fantastic racing. Go there. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you're not a racer, just go. It's a great spectacle.
The car show was great. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Sunday
but just a question, because I wasn't there. Were there cars in the show field on Sunday?
Yes.
Some.
Not as many, but
not as many. Okay.
I'm going to say 2/3.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's still a big damn car show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more pop-up parties. There were pop-up people like that park their car in the car show.
Donor
and they
parking,
would just
if you give enough money, you got a parking space. With some people bought a field.
Oh yeah.
Just set up tents and had.
But I was talking about the people like a Mercedes right off of turn 13. They got chairs out and had a little umbrella and like a charcuterie board, actually kind of like a party. So there was a lot of because I guess it was just racing, people wanted to sit out in a place and watch it. They really some people really established themselves.
So it really became like tailgating for the race more.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
But PCA had a huge, massive tent complex of stuff. For example, if you were fancy enough, Mercedes Club had that too. So there were large setups like that for some fancy people.
Oh man, now I feel bad.
We missed it.
I know, because the Audi people were setting us up on Saturday. So Chrissy and I got some beers.
Right,
that was awesome.
Right? They were good. That was about our last interview. Yep.
Yeah. Around the horn, our friend Andy Wong said Pittsburgh VGP is a great event. They raced the Mark Francis BMW 2002 back in 2019. And as our friend Sam Smith, he was chucking that thing around there, and they were talking about that, the stone walls. So that was a great event. What was your favorite part of just favorite aspect of the weekend or favorite thing that you did, Chrissy?
Well, I'm going to be lame and it's not lame. Hanging out with you guys. I mean, it was just a lot of it was the first time and chaos and running around and what do we do here and not really knowing, but we set our bar low because we said, hey, we're here. The most thing they could say is don't come back. And I know they will not do that because we did enough to make this a positive experience that I do not think they will do that. But it was hanging out with you guys. That's really what it was.
Aww. Chris?
I enjoyed seeing some pretty fantastic machinery out there. There was not just in the race, but all over the place. The quality of the cars that people brought to see were excellent.
Hefe?
Obviously it was seeing you guys again, but also getting back to creating content. I love racing and I will race again. But man, I got the fever. Got any more of that YouTube I can put together for you? Got anybody I can interview? Yeah, definitely the Jones to create content and to mental quick. Make an Instagram post about this so that we can start promoting the show and we can get people to watch. That was chasing the view dragon is definitely got me hooked again.
My phone is so full of crap, of videos of this and that, and like I'm like, do I use that? Do I not use that? Like I just have so much actual content on my phone that I didn't even post. That is, yes, that's what we were doing. We're like, oh, cool car. Oh, that somebody's doing something funny over there. Let's put this here. And yeah, we were playing that game.
I think if I had it to do again, it happened by accident because we were meeting over there by the stage and we were sitting in the golf cart, and it was as the cars were starting to leave Saturday afternoon. And it's like a Cars and Coffee, but you're not worried about a Mustang taking you out. It was just so much diversity and coolness because all of those cars, well, most of those cars are driven in there. So there would be a Mercedes 6.3 SEL rolling by with a Mercury Comet Caliente, and then Al Jones in his first gen RX-7.
Did you mention Caliente Pizza? I'm sorry.
all of
Sorry,
those cars,
flashback.
all of those
So
cars
smooth.
in the line, and you just got to relax and be a gearhead for a minute. All right. And then we'll wrap it up with this one. Favorite cars or cars plural? Jeff, favorite?
I love the TVR, was the Vixen, right? The TVR Vixen, black and gold one that we saw at like the end of Saturday. That thing was absolutely gorgeous. I had never seen a TVR Vixen before, but man, it was beautiful.
And we got to see it race on Saturday.
And we got to see a race on Saturday. Of course, yeah, this was an
yeah.
actual race car, not a show car, and it was gorgeous.
Chris?
It's a couple I like that I'll think of. One was the 1947 Bentley that I interviewed the people about. This thing was completely custom made,
nice.
One of one, all aluminum bodywork, but the level of craftsmanship and detail that was into that car everywhere you looked, once you really got close to looking at it, it was just, I appreciated the level of the artisan manufacture that was there that you just do not see. It does not exist anymore.
And that couple had like the entire history of the car, and they contacted someone that worked at that coach builder.
Yeah. And they were taught, and that guy was like an apprentice at the time. He's like, yeah, I didn't work on this car, but by looking at the way the panels are being, I know who did. Like It was one of those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So that was super cool. The Aston Martin I talked about earlier with the twin supercharged V8, like it's just so obnoxious. It was
That
funny.
would do it.
And lastly, one that the one that I would take home, if it was the F Marry Kill ones, right? Was there was an MGB, an orange MGB GT that was incredibly clean, that had a Miata engine swap in it, and also
Nice.
but it was done so cleanly, like it was really, really well done. And so
Don't get any ideas.
That's a nice one. Yeah,
It's a great idea, though.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Great
it's
idea.
not.
BGTs are really beautiful cars. I really enjoy. I really
Yeah,
like
but
them.
now you've got one that works and has air conditioning.
Yeah,
starts every time, has more power. 5
What?
speeds.
Doesn't
Ooh,
dump stuff all over the driveway when you try
That
to
was
leave.
actually a pretty popular swap for a little while, right? Miata Motors into the little British cars.
It's still, there's certainly some of them around without a doubt, but this one, just the quality of the workmanship on the swap, as well as just the body and the car in general, was great. I told them to do B-roll on that car. I was like, this car is, the right person is going to really appreciate that.
That is really cool. Chrissy.
So my initial, so I have a couple. I really enjoyed the BMW wagon section. There were there were a whole bunch of them. There were all gens. Some of them, at least one of them wasn't made here. The one with the headlight washers.
E30. Yeah, the E30 was a 325 iX wagon with all the options, including little headlight wipers on the little.
It was so clean. It was really pretty. So I really liked that section. We drove because we had time to kill, which is what the other thing I was going to say on Sunday. I wish they utilized us more because we had time. But we drove up and down the Porsche section, and I picked out all the ones that I want. And
all of them.
Well, no. There was a it's probably 80s, maybe early 90s. The blue one. I like the blue one.
A blue Carrera Targa with wheel tail.
Yes.
It was like a light, like icy blue. And then there was a very shouty newer Boxster that was like neon blue-ish. And then there was also a brown Targa that I liked. So I picked out all the Porsches that I would never drive. I will never get. I shouldn't have, but I would like that for my front of my lawn in the art collection that I would like to make that of cars that I don't actually drive, but look at. So yes.
That makes sense. They had several of the 230 SELs, and I sent this picture to our buddy Phil Greedon, aka Judge Phil, of this 280 SEL with the
Nixon
period
sticker. That's
correct.
Awesome.
And he replied back, probably in the 70s, not a lot of McGovern stickers on a Mercedes of that vintage.
Yeah.
But the one that stuck out to me was
with a University of Chicago sticker on it. So that's like professor's car to the T.
That's got to be a dean with a nice, with a
probably, yes. Did he have luggage in the back?
Yeah. No, I didn't look. I took that one while you were interviewing the president of the Mercedes Club. But this one, this 528 non like shouty color, but it's got
like
the center pipes.
I think is what that is.
Yes.
Are those Alpina wheels?
Yes. And it's got the center exhaust on it. But this is where everyone's going to go, ooh, because it was a stick shift and it had the Recaro sport seats in it that they had recovered in cloth. But this was the part that just set it off right there. Vintage, period, correct. Escort radar detector, nothing digital on that. That is all circuitry with the sidebar on that one. I had one of those in my one of my RX-7s back when I was a teenager that I bought cheap off of someone. It's just got the dial and then the switch,
and the big orange light.
Exactly, and it would just make these horrible noises.
We don't hear that at all.
No, we didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, Zoom cut that right out.
I was like,
so that was it.
That's what dear old dad had on the front of his.
And that was is someone they did not make that car for your entertainment. They made that car for their entertainment, and it's not red, it's not resell black or anything. They resisted the temptation to put a body kit on it in the 80s. They just left it as this wonderful pure BMW 5 Series. Loved it.
Cool.
So
yeah, you can tell we had a good time. Would
I'm
recommend.
Not sure. Did we have a good time?
Would recommend.
Would recommend.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh VIntage Grand Prix.
10
Find it,
10.
pvgp.org.
It's
watch the
in the show
videos.
notes. There you go. The videos will be linked, all that good stuff.
You can go watch the live stream. You can see everything we're talking about.
Yes,
Most of what we're talking about.
Sure.
Don't watch Saturday morning.
No.
You can, but just clip through it. Oh wait,
yeah.
there was a whole we talked about what we were doing, but the stage was full of people that had very long interviews. We didn't even talk about that on Saturday, but that's part of Saturday's bouncing between what are you talking, what's going on. Jeff talks, somebody's talking on the stage. Okay, now I'm going to this place. Now I'm going to this place. That is the other thing that we had nothing really to do with, but it was still part of the show, a lot of the show. And that's also what was happening. So we didn't really
Some were better than others. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. It was the director of video production at University of Pittsburgh who was doing those interviews. So
yes, and he was great.
He was good.
Didn't know enough about car. He didn't know enough about cars. That was admitted. He admitted that, but he tried to work on it.
Yeah. Bert Levy was up there being Bert Levy. Surprised we didn't see him in a race car. Yep.
Cool.
All right. I think we're ready for our next segment.
We are ready. Just the tip. That's it. No other. Just
you did a great
we
job.
Wanted to cut out.
Perfect.
Yeah, you had it. You nailed it.
Fine.
So a lot of vintage cars sit around a lot, and as such, most of them are on old tires. But those tires have great tread. The car's always inside, you say. They'll be fine. Well, think again. Tires have a lifespan in years, not just in tread depth. So going right to the source, Bridgestone says multiple factors play a role in how long a tire remain in service. Miles driven, road conditions, driving style, and maintenance and age all affect how long a tire lasts. Many drivers are not aware that minimally used tires, like the ones on recreational vehicles, collectible cars, or even spare tires, tend to experience aging instead of wearing due to a lack of driving. An aged tire has a substantial amount of tread. However, the structural integrity of the tire is weaker because the tire needs to be driven for the chemicals in the rubber to remain effective. The U.S. Department of Transportation number on the tire sidewall is a good way to help keep track of when they need to be replaced. It's easy to identify. Look for the letters DOT, followed by 11 or 12 letters and numbers. On tires made after the year 2000, the final 4 digits signify the week and year of manufacture. So a tire with 3618 would have been made the 36th week of 2018. A tire that has a 3-digit week and year code means the tire was made before the year 2000 and should be replaced due to age. Bridgestone recommends that its tires be removed from service after 10 years, regardless of the remaining tread depth. They also recommend periodic inspections by a qualified technician for damage such as punctures, impact damage, signs of improper inflation or overloading, or other conditions resulting from the use or misuse of the tire.
So those 3-digit date codes are 23 plus years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and get rid of those.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's
I
your
feel
safety
like
tip.
this is great. I didn't know that.
I didn't know about the chemical
The
aspect
more
of it.
you know.
Yeah. Do we have any idea what we're talking about next?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're going to talk all about ice cream. No, just kidding. We're going to talk about the pregame show for Thompson.
Ice cream is good there, though.
I know. We're going to do another plug for the potluck. The potluck is coming. We will have it on Friday night if you're coming to Thompson, because Saturday night we end way too late. So we're going to do everything on Friday night because that's a little bit more flexible for Thompson. Bring something that is not macaroni salad or potato salad. And if you forget a spoon, I'll get you one. Bring something. Thanks.
All right, Chris, do you have the speaker loaded up?
I do. Hang on. I'm sorry. I was more interested in writing the end of show thing.
I'm at work. I don't.
No worries.
It's all good.
Hey,
Do I get to read it?
No, it doesn't work that well.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead,
We do
Chris.
separately. So, hey, thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, vintage racing, standing in a field, and drinking warm beer with men with beards, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. Totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you didn't like us, 5 stars and tell us why. Any questions or show ideas, drop us a comment on all of the places that we have things like Facebooks and you name it. Everyone Racers, everyone.racers@gmail.com. Text mental 484-243-0455. Text some pictures of your vintage junk. Instagram, Twitter, or now X, Instagram or X at everyone.racers, YouTube and Facebook under Everyone Racers, Reddit, E1R. Hey, thanks again. Until next week, keep the less covered in oil side up. Unless you don't really have one of those, then just keep your not aged tires down.